What's up everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel Strix Outdoors. In this video I'm going to share my first looks at the new SpyPoint Link Micro S LTE. That's quite a mouthful to say. But basically this is the next evolution of the Link Micro camera that SpyPoint released last year, now introducing a solar panel to keep the batteries recharged, and it seems like a really interesting concept. Now in this video I'm going to share my first impressions and some of the details of the camera, as I really haven't had a chance to use it for very long. A full review will be upcoming, so be sure to stay tuned for that. In fact, if you're not a subscriber already, I invite you to check out my channel and consider hitting the subscribe button. Make sure you double tap that alert bell so you're notified when the follow-up videos are posted. You know, this camera was just released and there's not a lot of information out on the web about it just yet. So the intent of this video is really to go through some of those details and talk through some of the details that you may want to consider to determine whether or not you want to purchase this camera. Now, the only thing I ask in return for this, the only thing, is for you to bullseye that beautiful like button. All right, now let's start going through what you get in the package when you order this camera. So you get a very nice, compact, pretty lightweight camera, has a rather large antenna, which hopefully means that it will capture the cell network pretty easily, and it has an integrated solar panel. There are two versions of this camera available, and you'll need to consider which cellular network works best in your area. So SpyPoint offers a nationwide version and also a Verizon specific version. So again, just check to see which one's going to work better in your area. So you get the camera body itself, you get the LIT10 lithium rechargeable battery pack that this camera uses exclusively. Now this battery pack retails for $50 on its own. You also get a nylon strap with a pretty nice hard plastic cam buckle here to attach this to your favorite tree, and also a charge cable minus the adapter. This uses a micro USB connection to standard USB connection that you can plug into the wall to charge the rechargeable lithium battery. The Link Micro camera naturally requires a micro SD card. You can use SD cards that are anywhere between 2 GB and 32 GB. 32 GB is the largest that you can use, and that has to do with the formatting for the SD card that this camera recognizes. If you go larger than 32 GB, you cannot use the FAT32 format type, and the camera wouldn't recognize it. Now, considering the price for the SD cards, I would say you would at a minimum want to go with a 16 GB, but most likely if you look at the cost difference, you're probably better off just getting the 32 GB and not worrying about it. Now, SpyPoint does recommend or require that SD card be a class 10. So double check that whenever you're looking for SD cards, and that has to do with the write speed, and so you're not bogging down the camera. You'll want to follow the steps to set up the camera that are detailed in the start guide, but you can also watch another video that I did previously, and there'll be a link to that video in the description below and at the end of this video that walks you through the steps to format your SD card and make sure you check for firmware updates, etc. As of the date of recording of this video, there are no firmware updates for this camera, but that could change in the future. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with the SpyPoint Micro, this is basically a pared down, bare bones camera, but that also gives you cellular capability. So you won't find a lot of features in this. Opening up the camera, you'll notice that there's basically an on-off switch, a status indicator, and a slot for your micro SD, and that's it. And then it's the battery compartment. The battery compartment has 4 contacts, which is interesting because the lithium battery only has 2. So I'm not sure if SpyPoint did that in preparation for a different battery pack that maybe you can get later that has more extended runtime. I'm not really sure. But what is certain is that you cannot use AA batteries in here. Before starting up the camera and activating it, you'll want to take the lithium rechargeable battery pack, plug it into that USB cable that I showed you earlier, and make sure it's fully charged. SpyPoint recommends that's at least 12 hours. It may not take quite as long, and it does have an indicator light indicating when the battery is fully charged. Now, this camera takes pictures only, no video, no time lapse. I'm going to give you some of the technical specs about it. I'm just going to read it off on some notes. So trigger speed is 0.4 seconds, flash range is 80 feet, detection range is also 80 feet. The pictures that it takes are 10 megapixel. It has one sensor that covers 5 zones, and it comes with the standard 1/4 inch 20 tripod mount on the bottom. In terms of the camera settings themselves, you can program the camera to only be active during a certain time frame any day of the week, Monday through Sunday, and it specifies which day, or you can allow it to run 24 hours. So it just depends on your application. You do have a few options for trigger frequency, or how often it would re-engage and trigger, and that can be instant, every 10 seconds, every 1, 3, 5, 10, 15, and 30-minute intervals. It does allow multi-shot, but maximum of 2 pictures. Using this camera does require that you download the SpyPoint app. As you notice, there is no user interface menu on this camera, so once you set it up and this is communicating to the cell network, you'll need to communicate to the camera with your phone using the app, and then change the settings to program it to do what you want it to do. As you're going to have to download the SpyPoint app anyway, I recommend that you use the SpyPoint app to activate your camera. That seems to have worked a little bit better for me in the past than trying to do it through their website. In the other video that I mentioned, I go through that activation process. One quick thing to note on that activation process that's a bit different than what I covered before is that the activation code is on the inside of the battery compartment, except it has a QPR code instead of a barcode. Now the app still has a scanner that's looking for a barcode, so that part of the app doesn't work, and I hope SpyPoint updates that soon. But in the meantime, you can activate it by just selecting that you will manually input the activation code and use the code that's in this label. As you're going through that activation process, you'll likely notice that there's an area for a referral email. Now what that's regarding is SpyPoint's referral program, by which if someone's referred you and you use their email address, it allows both you and the person that referred you to receive a referral incentive. And that's either a $15 SpyPoint dollars credit that you can use towards your monthly data transfer plans, or a coupon code that you can use to either receive a $50 or a $100 rebate after your purchase of another camera. And that dollar amount depends on which camera it is that you purchase and activate. Now, if you're interested in participating in that, you're welcome to use me as a referral if you like. I'm not going to put the information in this video or in the description, so I'll encourage you to reach out to me via Instagram or Facebook. Look me up at Strix Outdoors and send me a private message, and I will direct message you back with the email address that you can use for that referral. Now, it's best if you have that email handy and ready when you first go through the activation process for this camera. Now, I have run into difficulties with putting in the referral email and having it verify in the past. I'm not sure why. Something with the SpyPoint app or something with the SpyPoint system. Now, if you're having trouble with the referral email section of the activation process, or maybe you already activated your camera recently and you still want to try to benefit from that, you can try emailing SpyPoint customer support and requesting that they honor that referral program and then provide the referral email address. Okay, so I've gone over some of the technical specs on the camera so far, but let's get into some of the details on how the power system works, because that's really what's unique about this camera, I think. All right, so as I mentioned before, you have to use the lithium rechargeable battery pack. This little bugger retails for 50 bucks. So if you want to have a spare, it's 50 bucks. If this goes bad for some reason, it's $50. The camera does not have the option to use AA's as a backup or as an alternative. Now, with the lithium rechargeable battery pack as the main power supply, the solar panel on the camera recharges the lithium battery pack, which also explains why you can't use AA batteries. However, SpyPoint does state that if the battery pack runs down to a sufficiently low battery level, the camera will turn off. Now, I don't know exactly what an insufficient battery level would be. There's got to be some threshold there, and I'll try to find out what that is, but I don't know at the time. The manual states that once it does reach that insufficient level, the camera will turn off, which means that if the following day it's very sunny conditions, the solar panel has a chance to recharge this battery above that minimum threshold, it will not on its own continue working again. You have to go in and manually restart it, at least according to what the manual says. I haven't tried that out yet. Now, the Link Micro S was also designed to use a 12-volt external battery system, and you can plug that in here on the back of the camera. It's got a little port that you remove the cover for. Now, the camera's programmed that if you do connect a 12-volt battery system to it, it recognizes that and will now consider that 12-volt system as its primary battery source and use the lithium internal battery as its secondary. Now, a couple things to note. The solar panel on the Link Micro itself will not recharge the 12-volt system, and likewise, the 12-volt system will not recharge the lithium internal battery. Well, I'm really intrigued by this little camera. I mean, it's bare bones, but by and large, what I use is just pictures. I don't hardly use videos or multi-shot mode anyway on my other cameras. Sometimes I do like the time-lapse feature, I really like that it has the solar panel integrated into it. So theoretically, under the right conditions, you could run this camera indefinitely and receive cellular pictures from it. For 200 bucks, that's not bad at all, especially considering that 50 of those is basically just the lithium battery pack. Now, of course, that's an ideal condition. So I'm really curious to understand what the minimum battery level threshold is for this camera, as if you reach that and it shuts off, it seems like you would have to go out there and physically restart it in order to re-engage. So say you live in an area that's pretty far north, maybe you're not going to get sufficient daylight during those winter months to fully recharge the battery pack with the solar panel. Maybe you need to get the extended battery system in those situations. I live in Texas, so our falls and winters are pretty mild, and usually we have enough sunlight. I have run another similar product by SpyPoint, the SpyPoint Solar, which does not have cellular capability integrated into it. And I've run that camera system for about 2 years straight without ever having to change any batteries, and it was basically self-sufficient on the internal battery and hardly even touched the AA's. So maybe this would be perfect. Well, I think that's it for this video. Let me know what you think, what questions you might have about this camera in the comment section below. Be sure to stay tuned for the follow-up video once I've had a chance to really use this for a while. And until next time, thank you guys for watching.